typically on these empathy workouts, we'll have a co-host and we'll do like a 10-minute talk and give them the stage, give them the platform to tell their amazing story, and then we'll go into a gameplay. This week, we wanted to really open up the gameplay section and really hear your voices. So the rules for this week are as follows. We're gonna need one brave person to lead us off. Just so if someone wants to just like raise your hand right now, you're gonna lead us off. And we're gonna spend about 5 minutes on each question. We'll see how it flows. And the game musical chairs where like basically the person who probably has the least empathy in the room wins all the time by pushing someone off the chair. So we're gonna do, okay, it's not gonna be exactly like that, but whoever is at the end, who's speaking at the end of the 5 minutes, they'll select where we go in the next round. Cool? Yeah. All right. So take a deep breath. And thank you. And if you don't mind, and if you're able, please turn your camera on and share your beautiful face with the community. All right. So do we have a volunteer? You can drop the screen. Juliana, I see you waving. Girl. All right, let's go. We're about to start. All right. So I specially curated these cards, but there are a lot of them. Okay, this is blue. We're gonna start off on blue, which is the lightest level for today. So just stop me at the card you want.
Stop.
Okay. Ooh, I'm shaking a little bit. All right, here we go. So you're gonna lead us off. You'll answer no more than a minute, and then whoever wants to go next, and we're just gonna keep going until the time is up. You're gonna set a timer? Okay. All right. The question is, Juliana, and thank you for leading us off. Mm-hmm. When do you feel out of place?
When do I feel out of place? I feel out of place when it's noticeable that I'm the only in the room. That often happens at work. That often happens outside of work. It happens where I live. It happens when I go to my car and go to the garage. I am just the only very often. So it does make me feel a little bit out of place, but that's also been my experience, since middle school, high school, college, work, today, my neighborhood, so it's hard to answer because I have managed through it in such a way that I notice that it's a thing, but it doesn't define my out of placeness, if that makes any sense. Like, I understand that is kind of situational, but I still have, I think over time, built myself up such that I don't feel less than because of it. So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Juliana. Where are you calling in from?
I'm in Boston.
Amazing.
At home.
All right. Who's up? Who's up for the musical shares of sharing? Sheena. Scary.
Let's do it.
Same question.
Oh.
You need a reminder? When do you feel out of place?
Okay. When do I feel out of place? When I feel out of place when I don't know. And I think Like if I don't know what the situation is, or if I don't know at least a couple of people at the party, or first day of school, like that kind of feeling. I tend to wrap myself in knowledge to give myself security and safety. Um, Definitely a Ravenclaw, definitely a researcher. So, wow, that's kind of a short answer, but I think that's a complete one for me.
I've been working on that myself. It's just letting go. I, the reminder I tell myself is this Bruce Lee thing where it's like you like water. Have you heard that? Has anyone heard that? You like water?
Yes. Yes.
All right, we still got a few more minutes. I'm gonna start calling on people. Kathy, yeah. Welcome, Kathy. Where are you calling in from? You still on mute, love?
Austin, Texas.
Texas.
Yes, yes.
Right.
So I think of social situations like when you're meeting friends, say at a restaurant or some sort of venue and you're walking in by yourself. And no matter how many years go by, that's still quite frightening. And you try to think through it, and but it's still the automatic reaction that comes to the surface. That it's quite uncomfortable.
Would you say you're an introvert or an extrovert, or?
I would say I'm probably about midway. Yeah.
I feel that. I feel that. Well, thank you, Kathy. Welcome to Actually Curious.
Thank you.
Let's see, who's Mari?
Sure, I will go. I think, and I think I'm not alone in this, especially for a lot of young people. I'm almost 26. I feel I have imposter syndrome very frequently, especially at work. And maybe that's not just a young person thing, maybe that's anybody, but I definitely feel it in my fellow young people, young professionals. And I feel out of place frequently. I think I know that I can do the work and I know that I'm capable of great work. But when I'm surrounded by people with varying skills, varying expectations, I find myself always thinking that I'm not, I find myself thinking more often than not that I'm not good enough or that I don't know what I'm doing. When in reality, I know that I do, but it's just all a mental space. And I think in those moments, I definitely feel out of place.
Snaps to that. How many people could relate to that? Can we get some?
Can I respond to that?
Yeah.
So
And then that you will also get to select the next card.
okay. Okay. So I'm 24, and so the imposter syndrome, it made me laugh when you mentioned it, because it's something recently that I also look like in retrospect can see that it was what I was dealing with, especially when I was at uni and things. But something that's really helped me to kind of overcome it is reminding myself that it's not my decision to choose. It's not up to me to choose when I'm good enough, because I can do my best, but it could still be crap to someone else, or I could do really bad and to someone else it will be perfect. So it's not your decision to choose whether you're good enough or not. So yeah, that is really simple, but something that's been really helpful for me.
I love that. Thank you so much. That's great.
Good.
Amazing. Serene, where are you calling from? Did I pronounce that right?
Saren.
Saren, thank you.
I'm calling from Wales in the UK. And yeah, on video, but yeah.
Videoing in, yeah, I still call it a phone.
Yeah.
The millennial in me.
Okay.
Well, I think, so that was actually Curious First. That was like an empathy steal. All right. So basically, thank you for that share, and thank you for, kind of sharing your experience around imposter syndrome. I could go into that. That'll probably be a topic one day. Thank you for that inspiration as well, both of you. All right. So your choice. We can we can stay in blue, and we can do a new question in blue, or we can go up to green. But we have to do a green before we unlock a yellow.
Right. Oh, I don't know. We can go deeper.
Yeah. All right. Cool. It's up to you. It was your choice.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Whoa. All right. So same deal.
Okay.
You will stop me at the question you want us to dive into for a few minutes.
Stop.
Was it here or was it that one?
It was that one, the second one. The one, yeah, that one.
Yeah. All right, cool. I just wanted to make sure. It's very scientific. Whew, all right, we're going in. All right. So the question is, get the timer ready? Cool. All right. What's something that triggers fear in you? How does your body respond to fear?
Oh my gosh. I mean, there's a plethora of things. But I think ultimately being unhappy, and I think I get myself when it comes, I think my reaction to being afraid of being unhappy is that I don't take risks then, and then I end up being unhappy. It's like I end up doing the thing that I was trying to avoid by trying to avoid it. And yeah, it's yeah, I think I mean there's loads of things, but I think that's the ultimate fear, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I guess my body responds in that I end up not doing risks, or I end up not being authentic. Yeah.
I feel that. I'm gonna jump right in on that and say that I know that when I feel fear, I oftentimes feel it in my chest. And actually, just before you started, I felt that, and I was like, I feel fear, I feel uncomfortable, and I like sat back. And so, as you were talking about being unhappy, like I almost did the reverse. I was like, why do I feel that in my chest? And it's because I'm afraid to lead and fail at leading. We have an amazing group of people here, and I'm still learning how to do this. And it's like, I'm gonna be unhappy if I fail at leading. It's almost the same to me. So I just wanted to let you know I hear you.
Thank you.
Okay, I have to hop in. Michael inspired me, but I also had another thing. So many things, guys. This is such a great session today. You can't fail at leading if you're doing it. I don't care how poorly you're doing it, in my opinion, as long as you're doing it and trying and showing up, there is no fail. As for being scared, I'm going to go into a situation from last night because it was very all encompassing. I put myself in a mood and I felt trapped and like I was stuck. And I felt very alone. And I noticed that I guess I'm kind of placing fear and conflict in the same space here. But I noticed that my body completely shut off. So luckily the moon was so gorgeous last night. I hope you guys got to see it. Please look at it tonight. But I just like stood there staring at the moon, just feeling really comfortable, wanting to be alone, but also being completely shut down and thinking that I had no options. And really just feeling like I was in a little black hole. I was comforted in my little black hole because no one was bugging me. I didn't have to create more conflict. But the moment I came out of that little vortex and went into community, went to see my friends, see these new friends, immediately connection and family and love was created. It's like the moment I stepped into, I guess, my vulnerability, it's like the universe was speaking through other people. Someone just randomly came up to me and was like, you know what? I'm so happy I met you tonight. You are a magic. And I was like, where the fuck? I'm just like sitting on a hammock. I was like, okay. Thank you. And it was just really special and a really specific, I guess, awareness I had of how vastly important it was to get out of my own way and how I can get through the fear and the discomfort in community. It was just such a beautiful experience of being totally shut down and totally in the dark and feeling like I had no options. And so I was just going to sit here until something changed. And then I allowed myself to be healed and affected by others. And it was really special. But yeah, my body was like a little dead fish. I didn't feel anything. It totally shut down. And then I allowed it to turn back on. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, Megan, I'm glad you listened to your body. I'm glad you gave yourself the opportunity to rest. That was time. So you're up. You get to tell us if we stay in green, we go down to
We're obviously going up one more level. Sorry, guys.
Let's go. The question is, this is an important one going into the elections. Is zero waste or sustainable consumption ableist? Why or why not? Wait, let me show people. Can you guys even see that? No, it's backwards. Okay, we're gonna send it in the chat. Kiari going in for the steal. Kiara.
Hi. I think I have a few different thoughts. I had the privilege of growing up in a household where people talked about sustainability from a very young age. That being said, I have come to realize that I think zero waste. I think who you are and where you come from and how much money you have and what you have access to is a huge part of that movement. And I do think that movement singles out certain individuals and then leaves a lot of other people behind. And that's really unfortunate. I think as a whole, trying to be sustainable, and it's interesting, we talk about sustainability, in terms of our climate disaster and climate crisis right now, but I think there's a lot of things that could probably be more sustainable, whether that's the way we love or the friendships we keep, or the way we treat our plastics and our food and what we do with it. So I guess I would say, I'm just going to look back at the question. I guess I would say that the zero waste movement, I think, is ableist, but I think sustainable consumption and living in a sustainable way has the possibility of being more inclusive to more people. And I'm so glad that, you know, with this round of the Black Lives Matter movement coming back to the forefront for a lot of folks, you know, just, you know, acknowledging that there are so many things that are much more intersectional than we like to think that they are, and that acknowledgement that we can't have one movement without the other movement, and that applies to so many different movements, but just taking the time to acknowledge that, especially if you hold white identities and have that privilege, that you have to acknowledge that it's perhaps easier for you in some situations to be a part of these bigger movements, especially when it comes to the environment, which can be a very inclusive, I mean, exclusive type of community. So.
Thanks for jumping in and sharing your perspective. Yeah, Carol, what's up?
So I agree with Kiara. My short answer is yes, it's ableist. It's interesting that you went from the access perspective, because immediately my brain went with ableist, it went to people who have mobility issues, or people who having pre-cut, pre-packaged fruit, produce, etc. That's how they can get food because they can't cut their own food, or even people who are in wheelchairs. The whole aspect of you take the bus or you can take the bike, and it's like, well, we had to make our transportation, our public transportation, as accessible as possible. And of course, being sustainable, living a sustainable or zero waste life, there's buttloads of privilege that comes with that, because it requires access, it requires finance, it requires, if you're already in a safe enough financial and physical place, that you can make that type of investment. But something interesting, that I am the type of person that I'll go down YouTube rabbit holes when I find a very interesting concept, and 2 hours later I'll be like, I've just watched 10 videos on this topic that I didn't know anything about. But something that I have seen within the zero waste and sustainable critical conversations is the whole aspect of how these conversations have been, or the responsibility, it has made it seem as if it's on the consumer's shoulders that they have to do it, whereas it's corporations that has to start from that point, because that's where the most waste is happening. That's where the least sustainable practices are happening, and that just trickles down. Whereas that's why we have to make corporations accountable. That's why, whether it is with access to finance, access to, oh, thank you, Megan. But it's short answer, yes, and everything is intersected with each other. Like the moment that you say, if you want to live a sustainable lifestyle, you need the means to be able to live that sustainable lifestyle. Well, that already goes into, do you have the money for that? Did you have the type of upbringing that allowed you to those types of resources and to those types of privileges that are allowing you to even contemplate to have that lifestyle? Like, are you living in a desert food place where you can't really go to the farmer's market all the time, and you have a convenience store? That's how you get your food. Like, there's so many elements that come into play into this. So that is a long answer, and the short answer is yes, absolutely it is. And also the last thing, I have my cat on my lap this whole time. So if anyone enjoys kitty love, that's why I feel nice and warm, because I'm quite literally nice and warm with my cat.
Yeah, Carol, you always like come and drop the kitty love. So I gotta give you props for that. All right, cool. So
Oh, I wanted to go, or is it too late?
It's
Michael?
I was gonna offer one last question and one. So you can take this. I'm gonna suggest we go to the pink levels just so we can get one answer in on that. We're gonna have to like box it into like a no more than like a 2-minute answer though. You up for the challenge, Kanene? All right. All right, we're going in.
Yes.
So you got to tell me which one you want me to stop at.
Yeah.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, stop.
Is higher education a right or a privilege? Why or why not?
Higher education should be a right because a rising tide raises all boats. In the society that I feel like I'm like a like a pageant and I have to do my little answer. So yeah, like a rising tide raises all boats. In the society that we always say that we want, that every time there's the Olympics and the Super Bowl and we're like, world peace, world peace. Well, how do you think world peace is gonna happen unless people are actually educated about the world, about cultures, about different people, about the environment? Like until all of that is done and solidified, let's hear your answers. And oh, you're talking to those people. Until that is solidified, then there's always going to be a divide between what could happen, what should happen, and what does happen. Let's say, for example, people who don't want to wear a mask because of COVID-19, right? That's an education problem, right? The people who don't wear masks disproportionately have not had access to higher education, have been marginalized, disenfranchised, and all kinds of other ways in which they are, quote unquote, lower class and have not had access to, again, the pathway to, a better future, which is through education. So I totally think, yes, it should be free. It should be like, leave me alone. I should not be saddled in debt because I want to learn something for the next like 60 years of my life. And until that happens, it's going to be a vicious cycle of the haves and the have-nots. And it's going to be a wealth gap. It's going to be an information gap. It's going to be an internet gap. Like, because without education, right, all the other things that we could have access to, by default, a lot of people will not have access to, including being able to choose healthier foods, to choose better consumer products, so that we can actually, by default, boycott these corporations when they're actually doing, things full of chemicals. But again, if you're not thinking, you don't understand like why these chemicals matter, then you're going to continue to buy the Dial soap with the trichlorophane, whatever that chemical is that makes fish have 8 heads. But again, it all has to do, once you're educated, then any particular fact that someone offers to you, you're not so intimidated, like, oh my God, I don't even know that word. It's like, oh, okay, then you have something to bounce off of. But if you're not educated, then someone talks to you about something really important, really urgent, really like, nuanced, you're lost. And so yes, higher education is a huge right. Did I get a 10? 10. Like a pageant.
You get a 10, you get a 10, you get a 10. Y'all get 10s. I just want to read a couple of the comments that came in here. And Canadian, I agree with you. They do that on purpose. They try to, they keep you down. What do we have in here? Yes, agree. Higher education is a right, and it can be done here in the U.S. if we make it a priority. Justine, thank you. Sue, it's currently a privilege, but it should be a right. I think my argument typically falls along these lines. Justine, agree with you, Sue. Oh, look at that, some chat love. And that's it, y'all. Oh man, we did it. We survived another empathy workout. Thank you, y'all.